Hey everyone, before we start the episode, we just want to call out that we're doing an episode on the Darklands, and we realized a few things during our research process. The Darklands lore as we know it is very rooted in 1st edition Pathfinder, and there are going to be a lot of changes to the Darklands, both with the OGL and to the ORC transition, but also there are a lot of problematic themes that go on in the Darklands currently. There are a lot of references to slavery, and most of the enemies you might find are pretty one-note and kind of evil for evil's sake. So keep that in mind while listening, and if this isn't your cup of tea, feel free to skip this episode. We're going to come back around to the Darklands when the new version comes out, so we'll be able to come back to this area in the future. And with that, here's the episode.
Hey there! Welcome to the Tabletop Travel Guide, the podcast where we explore fictional worlds and civilizations right from the comfort of our own table. I'm Tyler, and in this week's session, my players completely rolled incredibly well against a basilisk. So it kept trying to stare them all down, and for before they even engaged, they came up to it 3 different times, and it kept staring at them. But then they all just succeeded their fort saves, so I'm like, it doesn't do anything, and they're like, I don't think it's violent.
It's a very nice giant snake thing.
It looks very kind. Well, did they try to recruit it to their party?
They went to go talk to it, and then somebody finally failed their save, and then they bust out in combat. I did turn one person into stone. Sure. But that was end of combat.
It is very frustrating as a GM where you're like, oh, the thing that this monster's supposed to do can't do it.
Right.
And I am Sam, and let's see, in my session this week, my players were doing an info gathering, trying to find information around a city type situation, which only was slightly derailed by one of my players looking for exotic birds. So we went on a slight side quest for some exotic birds.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm Ryan. In my last week of RPGs, for Sam's campaign, the thing I keep remembering is Chad's character divined vegetables.
Oh, I forgot that I did that.
He stacked a bunch of corn, squash, and beans on a table, and Sam was like, they all fall off the table and land on each other. That is the message of your god.
Look, if you want to speak to a god at level 3, you're going to get some very obscure things.
I feel like that entire campaign is us being far too low level for the things we're being
100%.
asked to. It's like we're making decisions as level 10 or as level 3 characters for a level 12 campaign.
Look, I just believe in growth. Be who you want to be, not who you are.
That's true. Okay, so before we dive into the episode for today, we have a things we misspoke from 3 episodes ago, or 2 official episodes ago.
Pronunciations are hard.
They are. The one that, the boomerang word that keeps coming around is Jadwiga. I think in the Irison episode, we called it, we mixed up the letters altogether. Mm-hmm. We corrected it a little bit there. In the Realm of the Mammoth Lords episode, we thought we corrected it by calling it Jadwiga. And then shout out to a follower on YouTube who is Polish and mentioned that the W in Jadwiga is pronounced like a V in void, which makes sense. So the official term for people of Irison are Jadwiga.
Jadwiga.
And yeah, like always, we love hearing when we're wrong. We have this whole segment for a reason, because we will continue to misspeak and mispronounce things. So
I can barely speak English.
I know.
So.
I think it's cool though, just from the perspective that Paizo chooses to use so many different cultures to influence their world. So there's always going to be things that we're going to be learning as we go because they're not cultures that we necessarily have a lot of contact with. So especially when we look at language, and unfortunately in the US, like there's not a lot of diverse language education. So we all have like a little bit of something, but not great for super diverse populations. So it's neat to learn.
Yeah. So thanks again for letting us know. And, we always try to do better. We always fix anything that's wrong. So feel free to keep letting us know in the comments or at our Instagram or whatever. Just reach out to us. Mm-hmm. We're always happy to hear from you. And with that out of the way, I don't think we had anything else we misspoke, or if we did, it wasn't as glaring. So with that, we hand it over to Ryan.
Yeah, so I'm going to start this one with the big qualifier. I'm going to talk primarily about old 1E material because we're talking about the Darklands.
Ooh.
And there's been like a million different supplements that have come out since 1E. And they've explicitly said, they being Paizo, that they're reworking a lot of things in the Darklands. They're changing some of the racial structures. They're going to probably have a new book where they rework a lot of the stuff. So
yeah.
All of this with a grain of salt, essentially.
Yeah, Ryan texted me while I was researching this episode, and he goes, do we have High Helm? Do we have like one of the other
High
adventure
Helm's the
pets?
one that's been released.
Yeah.
But then there's like a whole 50-minute panel with Paizo employees that are like, we're going to do a Darklands book, and we're going to totally redo the Darklands.
Yeah. Yeah, with the OGL debacle earlier this year and all that stuff. I know they're kind of retooling their thoughts because the Darklands, I think, has a lot of overlap with the Underdark.
There's a lot of overlap, and then there's also a pretty heavy emphasis on slavery.
Ooh.
And we're going to talk about slavery a decent amount this time, and Paizo's stated explicitly they want to remove that heavy emphasis from all parts of their game, not just the Darklands.
Yeah.
So when it comes back around and a new Darklands book comes, we'll update this.
Yes.
And we'll do a new episode. But we've talked enough about the Darklands. It felt relevant to go a little bit more in depth about the Darklands and
I feel like the high level of what it is probably not going to change too much, or the concept is there. So at least we can still keep the big talking points.
Sure. The basement is still there.
The basement.
It's just, they're going to remodel the basement.
Ooh, they're going to finish the basement.
They're going to finish the basement. There you go. So we're going to frame this all as a heist.
Yeah. Also, this is a tabletop lore guide.
Yes, this is a lore guide. So I have asked Tyler and Sam to prepare characters in preparation for this. They have to prepare characters that want to partake in my heist. So I am taking on the role of Gavril Guyana, and I've put out a bunch of advertisements looking for people to take part on my epic heist.
Okay. Where? So because you told us about the heist, but you didn't tell us where you were putting advertisements. Just everywhere?
I'm assuming we're running out of the Pathfinder Lodge in Almus, which is in Andoran.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we're in the Inner Sea region. We're in Andoran. It's a fairly free and open place. It's a port town.
Yeah.
What do the ads say?
It probably would be very vague, like come participate in the heist of the century.
Okay.
Get lots of gold, wealth.
Yeah,
whatever.
Gold, wealth, treasures, everything you would ever dream of. I definitely would go to the Pathfinder Lodge and like co-sponsor, but it's not sponsored by the Pathfinder Lodge. This is definitely maybe they're probably interested, but they're not.
Okay.
They're not a direct sponsor.
Cool. Okay. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
So I have brought Jenna, the human bard.
Okay.
Her background is charlatan. So I built her for a heist.
Good.
She's more of like the con man type build here.
Okay.
My favorite thing is so she's got the typical bard stuff, and then I gave her a battle lute. So for the most part, she'll hang out in the back and do the bard spells and things like that. However, she can whack somebody over the head with a lute if needed.
Good. Okay.
Which I think that type of, versatility is important in a heist.
Good.
She also has like fascinating performance. She can do distractions. So she's going to be your like front person so that it's easier for other people to be stealing things.
Good.
Nice.
Good. This
nice.
seems very relevant. Yes.
Okay. And so my character is named Cecil, and he is a reanimated skeleton.
Yes.
Who at one point was a necromancer's guard.
Okay.
So he was, part of a dungeon doing his thing. He really wanted to do anything else but be a guard, but he's a fighter and he's very good at it.
Right.
So he just kind of did it up until the point that the necromancer died.
Okay, yeah.
Due to something else. So then he decided, hey, I'm just going to take over this place and kind of make it my own. So he's kind of like a homemaker who just goes out and find things to make the old necromancer's hideout more eclectic and more fun and more just kind of chill. He's just kind of...
He's taking the evil layer and he's making it a homey layer.
Yes. So that being said, he is also, very charismatic and very stealthy. And since people are not the most keen on talking to skeletons, reanimated skeletons, he has to kind of find other ways to get his items. He just can't go to Absalom and buy a bunch of stuff.
Right.
So when it comes to heists or things that are, ways to get into different places that might need a strong person that could then end up with some fancy goods.
Sure.
He's all in. So I assume he sees about this heist or has, where you had us at be pretty high level. So
yes,
I assume he has underlings who can go out into the world a little bit easier. So yeah, Cecil hears about the heist and is like, I can do that. Let's do it.
Cecil and Jenna.
So
you'd be led into basically a conference room over in the Pathfinder Lodge.
Also, he's very charismatic, so I feel like they'd be friends.
Good.
Well, sure.
Good. Well, you might be better friends after hearing this terrible pitch.
Okay.
So you're led into a room in the Pathfinder Lodge, and Gavril indicates someone to close the doors behind you. It's probably other people besides you in there. And he goes, okay, so here's the pitch. Thank you all for coming. I have a great opportunity for you all. I would like to thank our Pathfinder benefactors. They think we're going on an exploration mission. We are not. So don't tell them that we're not going on an exploration mission. We're here to heist. We're going to heist a god dragon.
A what now?
A god dragon.
What is a god dragon?
A demigod dragon.
Okay.
Made it better?
There are umbral dragons who live in the very bottom of the Darklands, who have enormous treasure piles, unseemly amounts of wealth, and we're going to go take it. We're going to go steal all of it.
I'm in.
At least a lot of it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
okay.
Okay, so, man, I'm glad you're in, because I'm going to get that in writing now. So then he wants to explain a little bit about the general hazards, and then he'll go through the plan.
Okay.
So, Darklands. First, you have to get into the Darklands. You can't just dig down and find the Darklands. There are lots of caves in Golarion, but not all caves are part of the Darklands. The Darklands are a specific multi-continent tunnel system.
Yeah.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
Exactly.
Into the Darklands.
So there are, especially in Avestan, there are 4 or 5 scattered around. There's High Helm we've talked about. There's the Scar Thicket in Cheliax. We just talked about the Earth Navel in the realm of the Mammoth Lords.
Yep.
There's the Pyramid of Chimeria over in Osirian.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of specific entrances. We are going to use the Candlestone Caverns right here in northern Andran.
Ooh, okay.
So we can kind of walk into the Darklands.
Hmm.
And by walk into the Darklands, we're going to have to go into the first layer of the Darklands called Narvoth.
Okay.
Narvoth. So when we enter the Darklands, we're going to encounter darkness,
Sure.
which I assume all of you are able to mitigate against.
Yep.
There are air hazards, breath hazards, some places that don't have air. The skeleton's like, yep.
Cecil thumbs up.
I'm gonna need to prepare, or I'm going to need to look for some different cantrips, I think, for this. Okay.
There's poisonous air. There's something called quick death gas, which is a colorless, odorless gas that sits in low points in cave systems that kills you within minutes.
Wait, is this a real thing, or is this a...
you mean like in real life?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think it's probably like sulfur hexafluoride or something. Like something...
Okay.
A heavy non-reactive gas that just fills your lungs.
That's fair. Okay.
There's carboxene gas, which is explosive gas.
Okay.
Which is probably like methane or hydrogen sulfide.
I'm a little bit more vulnerable to that.
Yeah, so gas that explodes.
Yeah.
Of course, we have just general earthquakes, tremors, tunnel collapses, things that can entomb you for life if you are unfortunate enough to survive, of course.
Did I already sign this?
Probably not, but...
Yeah.
Also, as a sidebar, Ryan told us to build these characters at level 15, so we are not talking about little baby level 1s rolling up in here who would
True.
immediately die.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the Darklands.
I feel like this feels as a skeleton who guarded a necromancer's base for umpteenth years. This all sounds pretty on brand.
Okay.
Like, yeah, traps and poison and
Earthquakes
and magical
He's a very
things.
charismatic and probably arrogant bard. I'm for it.
Okay. There's fungus. Fungus is a big deal down in the Darklands. There's one called Cytalesh, which is colloquially known as brain mold, which is cool. There's also ghost mold. And pretty much everyone eats mold for a food source down there.
Fair.
So either bring your rations or prepare to eat mold on the trail.
Thumbs up. I don't eat.
Cool.
Tyler just really built a good character for going into this place.
We got issues with heat,
Oh,
lava, geothermal vents,
Ooh.
scalding hot areas.
Okay.
Be prepared for that. That's all the Darklands. There are radiation hazards throughout the Darklands. There's this stuff called Caphorite, which is magical radiation that gives sentience to fungus. So the previously mentioned fungus hazard can become sentient.
man, what happens if you try to eat a sentient fungus? Does it
Ooh,
yell at you?
we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
It
There's
says, hey, stop it.
Brightburn, which is like chemically radioactive like real life, like alpha, beta, gamma particles.
Ooh.
That'll rip you apart, which is cool. Of course, there's water underneath the ground. So
course.
floods, flash floods, tunnels collapsing with water. And then we have all of our generic critters we'll worry about. Centipedes, spiders, scorpions, elementals, undead. So that's good.
Okay.
Demons and daemons love to just hang out in the Darklands. All the generic critters. We won't spend much
Yeah.
time on the generic critters, but that's just kind of the generic stuff.
Okay.
That's while we're walking to Narvoth. We're not in Narvoth yet.
Wait, what? This is just on the tunnel on the way?
Yeah. Yeah. So once we enter the first layer of Narvoth,
So we're like going through the crust.
yes.
Okay.
So Narvoth is between surface-ish and 2,000 feet below ground.
Okay.
Between the impacts of the Starstone and other natural disasters, Narvoth's tunnels are pretty much unmappable. So we're going to have to do a lot of navigating as we go. I don't have a map yet. We'll figure it out.
They're constantly changing. Have the tunnels always been there?
Yes.
Okay.
To some degree.
To some
yes.
degree, they've always been there.
Yes. Yes.
That's fair.
So we don't have a map. They change all the time. Things flood, radiation happens, all those fun things. But we'll get to the main. We'll get there. Our objective to reach in Narvoth is called the Court of Ether.
Okay.
It's a large town ruled by the Dark Fae Queen Filgarama.
Frillogarma.
See, I'm really bad at English. Say it again, Tyler.
Frillogarma.
It's a town made of bridges and small homes that stretch between stalactites. Which is
that
pretty
sounds
cool.
That is
very
kind of
neat.
cool.
And they're hollowed out stalactites in areas. So people live in the stalactites.
Oh.
Don't roll over while you're sleeping.
Yes. When we get there, do not expect a welcome parade. The city is not really open to outsiders, and there's a large number of Fae who live there. They defend that town pretty extensively, so we want to kind of sneak our way around town, or maybe party face our way through and lie our way through.
Okay.
I like that too.
They won't kill on sight, but they're not really big on outsiders there.
Okay.
So while we're working our way through and around the area in Narvoth, there are some specific Narvoth creatures we need to worry about. So we have the Darrow.
Okay.
The Darrow are former Fae creatures who have become addicted to eating that brain mold.
Oh, there it is.
So normally when you eat brain mold, you have seizures and memory loss and all kinds of bad things. But they've evolved to live, I won't say symbiotically, but survive on it.
Do they just get high?
Well, they have an extreme addiction to violence.
Oh, don't do drugs, kids.
So they have developed magical and mental abilities from it, but they also completely lost their touch with reality.
Huh.
And they also became very pale skinned and they have big, bright white eyes, but they think they can engineer their way out of that problem. So they love to kidnap topsiders and experiment on them.
Ooh.
I feel like this is the crystal meth of
Yeah, so they
Golarion.
they basically roofie people they capture, experiment on them, and then like put them back on the surface. They're like the alien abductors of the Darklands.
No.
Well, at least they put them back.
Mm.
You put that back where you found it.
Yeah, they typically put people back from the surface. If they find other denizens of the Darklands, they just kill them
Oh.
and usually eat them.
Well.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
We've talked about the Duergar.
Yep.
They will be called the Hringar soon.
Is that the new?
That's the new remaster
Okay.
name. So that's in High Helm, the Hringar. But from the Duergar perspective, we've talked about them. They did not follow the quest for Sky.
Mm-hmm.
They're gray, they're bald, they're generally mean, and their entire economy exists around slavery.
Mm.
So they take slaves, they trade slaves, they have slaves given to their slaves. Like there's
Do we know if the Hringar history has changed or is
yes.
changing?
So that one they've said they become like pyramid schemes.
Oh.
So
Oh yeah, that's right. It's like deals and stuff. I think I
Yes.
remember listening to.
yes, so
Mm.
About
they
that.
will turn into like if you can get more people as part of your MLM network, you get more points in their society.
that sounds way more fun.
It is way more fun,
you-
right?
You just go down and they're like, "Hey, have you heard these essential oils?" You're like, if you sell, you can sell the ability to sell to other people, and you get a kickback.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're going to turn into. But for now, they're just really mean slavers who ride spiders.
That's fair. Well,
Sure.
now I'm excited to talk about them when they are remastered.
Yes. We do want to avoid, there's this thing called the Long Walk. It's the only quasi large tunnel in all of Narvath, but they patrol it with slave patrols.
Oh,
So we don't want to go there.
okay.
There are the Troglodytes, or the Zolgoth, is what they're going to be recalled. or
Isn't that-
renamed as.
That's always been a thing, though, right?
The Troglodytes? Or the Zolgoth?
I thought Zolgath have always been the.
Yeah, they changed the name, but they're referred to as Troglodytes in the 1E material, so that's why I'm going to
interesting.
keep talking about them as
Okay,
Troglodytes
fair.
here. Um,
Oh yeah, because in 2E
they changed this part of 2E, not the
This
the
was one of the
Darklands.
ones they changed it when. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, they are sentient bipedal reptilians, but they really haven't progressed past the Stone Age.
So they're okay.
So like a primitive society,
Yes,
Stone
like
Age
stone
type.
tools.
Okay. Okay.
Very tribal, nomadic, but like way less civilized or advanced than even like
Even
the Kelids
Yeah,
necessarily.
okay,
Like,
so so no technology. We're
Very
using
loose
hunter
structures.
gatherer type
Yes.
stuff. Okay.
okay. So
Yes.
cavemen,
cavemen.
kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
But they are still dangerous. They do like party together sometimes, and they'll go overwhelm people.
Okay.
They're also commonly hired as mercenaries. They make pretty substantial mercenary tropes, which is interesting. But so you just need to avoid them.
Fair. Okay.
There are the Vegpygmies. Vegpygmies.
Vegapygmies.
Vegapygmies?
Vegapygmies.
I don't know. Are they a vegetable?
They're spores.
Oh.
Vegapygmies.
Then I would say vegapig.
Vegapygmies.
Vegapygmies. They were created by the drow, who we're going to talk about, through their spore crafting endeavors. So like when I come home from work, I like paint miniatures
Yeah.
and like go out for a run. The drow would craft sentient creatures to farm.
Huh.
We'll get there. The drow
Okay.
are good people.
Yeah.
Ryan, I feel like you're not doing enough when you get home from work.
You're right.
Yeah.
Entire civilizations are being created, and you're what, painting minis? Jeez.
I'm sorry.
That is kind of interesting. I wonder if they kind of helped inspire. We haven't gotten there, but one of the ancestries, the Gorin, is their kind of sentient leshy food, or like they
Could
kind
be.
of they are from Nex, and they were like grown as food and became sentient, and were like, please stop eating us.
Yeah, their take is a little bit more violent, like many things in the Darklands.
Yeah.
They realize that they are being grown for food, but they also realize that if they killed something and then exposed them to their own spores, they came back as a Vegapygmy. So they like led a revolt where they killed a bunch of drow specifically,
Oh boy.
and then all those drow came back as Vegapygmies.
This is like if chickens revolted.
Kind
and
of.
if we came back as chickens,
Yeah.
And
the
if, yeah, and
chickens
you
killed
also
us.
came back as chickens. So the drow were not happy with this.
Yeah.
So they thought they wiped them all out, but they of course missed some spots. So these creatures are still around. They are big on like ambush tactics. If they capture one of us while they're down there, we can look forward to joining the Mold clan and Mold
Okay.
societies,
Cool.
which is not great.
No mold society. Got it.
And then the gremlins, which are tiny fey creatures that swarm and stab with their super duper tiny daggers.
They sound really cute, but I feel like they're not.
The
that cute.
smaller a gremlin is, the more powerful it is. So as they grow in strength, they shrink in stature.
I like kind of love that for them. Like, it's just like, yeah, you thought I was tiny? Ha ha!
Yeah,
Size of a flea.
Yeah, if like you can see, if it's like a regular size one, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. It's like, oh my gosh, that one's so small. Run away.
Look how tiny it is. Oh no, I'm being stabbed.
So how we feeling? That's Narvoth. Lots of caves, lots of creatures.
Okay, I mean,
Evil Fae City.
It feels for Cecil seemingly par for the course. It's like par for the course with a lot of variety, but also as a person who would be on the adventurer's side of this in this case and not the guard side,
Sure.
he's slightly concerned because he's used to killing the adventurers
Right.
as a guard,
Right.
but now he's going to be the one having to.
I feel like Cecil's gonna have a better time here. Jenna is now thinking through, what can I disguise myself as to look less human and less like a target?
Okay. But you're still in the boardroom.
Yes,
You're still listening to the pitch.
Have not left yet.
Okay, good. Because that's the first third of our, well, it's the first sixth of our adventure.
Are we through the first book of your
Yeah, this might be the
Darklands?
first book. Yeah, because the problem is one of those crystals I talked about, the radiation, it disrupts teleportation.
Oh,
So you can't teleport out of the Darklands easily.
Okay.
that's
So
rough.
once we get to the bottom, we have to walk back to the top.
This is gonna be like the Minotaur maze, like from Greek mythology, where it's like you're leaving like your breadcrumbs, you're like
Where's
rope
that shadow
behind
rope from
you.
last episode?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay, so we need to
Okay, so my
Hansel
tactic.
and Gretel are our breadcrumbs.
Yes.
down
Yes.
to the-
I am going to find out. I don't know if it's on the bard list or not, but there's that spell that's like the precise location. So like I could just take my personal belongings and leave them in various levels, and then we could precise location
that's
know where
good.
they are
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that'd be good.
to know how to get back. If that's on the same spell list, because the last time I used that was for a cleric.
That
so
could
I'd
be
have to
good,
double
yeah.
check.
I feel like Cecil would probably have chalk and would mark walls because he's used to getting lost. And dang, this necromancer! Why do they have to make us so maze-like?
And the maze changes. That's the other problem. The tunnel you
Hmm.
took down might not be there when you get back.
Typical day at the office.
Well,
But okay, you're still in the boardroom.
Yep, we're still
in.
we're still in the border.
We're still in.
here.
Probably a few people in the back who were questionably involved have gotten up and left at this point.
and we're good, thanks.
But most people are probably still in.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem outside the realm of an adventure.
Were we given snacks in the boardroom?
Ooh, that's good.
Sure. Yeah, the Pathfinders. Probably I didn't, but
Mm.
probably the Pathfinder Society provided snacks. That seems like a thing they would do. A
Okay.
venture captain walks in, passes out some snacks.
Hmm.
I think
I
some
like-
people might have stayed for the snacks too then.
Yeah. Which is okay.
I like drink the juice.
It drops
just,
through your jaw.
It just misses. Hello, fellow humans.
Perfect. So then we're going to go to the next layer. Sekamina.
Sekamina.
Okay. We're going to go to Sekamina.
Cool.
Lots of medium and large size tunnels that connect large cities,
Okay.
vast underground lakes, and weird underground biomes.
This sounds slightly better, but I feel like it's going to get worse.
So where before we had lots of tiny tunnels that were always constantly changing,
Mm.
this is a little more organized, a little more structured. The tunnels are larger, the pathways are more predictable.
Mm.
We are talking 2,000 to 8,000 feet below the surface. So we're getting down there.
Yeah.
This is where generally it's considered like the civilized Darklands.
Okay.
Most of the civilized peoples, the groups who build larger cities, have regular trade, they have pretty substantial cultures built
Yeah.
around them. Like that's where all those
Okay.
groups pretty much live. So through the Court of Ether, we're going to go downwards. It's kind of nearby and below. We're going to go enter the Endless Gulf. It's a vast rift that goes all the way down to the third layer orb. But unfortunately, we can't just jump through it because it's like literally a gigantic hole, and people have destroyed all like the bridges and pathways, and they will shoot on sight anything going up and down around the rift.
So we can't repel.
You cannot repel. They
Aw.
will shoot us. So we need to kind of like make our way around the general vicinity.
What if I just act like a dead skeleton and you lower me on rope? And I just kind of like, I do have the play dead feet.
That
So-
could help. It's true. We could investigate that. We could try that when we get down there. We also have to look out for the dire corbies in the area. They are deformed harpies that still sing siren songs of doom.
And I thought you said dire corgis, and I'm like, yes, big old corgis.
Not dire corgis, unfortunately. Dire corbies.
Fine, okay.
They're like disfigured, cursed harpies.
Ugh.
See, this is where I would appeal to the GM to be like, can I just be playing my lute at a different tonal pitch that would then disrupt it?
Ooh, that could work. Yeah.
Counter.
Okay.
I think, you could do like counter performance.
I would.
Yeah.
Does Jenna raise her hand in the like, I have an idea for this part?
No, she just probably would look smug and like have her lute out and be like, I know what I'm going to do there.
Okay.
What's the guy's name? What's your guy's name again?
His name is Gavril.
So in my head now, does Gavril have like the red strings of like the conspiracy theory guy, like Charlie Day? And
He's a male dwarf who never lived in a dwarven society. He like lived in Andoran his whole life. So absolutely, he's probably like, I got it all figured out, guys.
So as we like put ideas, he just like plops another pin in with.
Yep, 100%. So of course, another group of additionally dangerous critters to look out for. We mentioned the drow before. The drow are basically going away in the remaster.
Yeah.
So all of this is going to just pretty much vanish in the remaster.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do what they replace them with, because the drow, unlike most things that could just be like renamed or whatever, the drow are so closely related to Dungeons and Dragons and the OGL that they couldn't salvage it.
So according to the Paizo panel, they're going to have like a dark elf ancestry, but it won't be a one-to-one drow connection. It'll be like an elf who lives underground. That is the new sort of drow.
Fair.
But our 1E drow are descended from elves who fled from the surface during Earthfall, and they hold the grudge against all the other elves who fled.
Fair.
And also every creature that lives on the surface for living in their former homes.
Oh, okay.
So they hold a grudge against basically everybody.
They're like the old man of the get off my lawn.
Yeah, pretty much. They're huge into slavery, big into suffering, and are big proponents of punishing everything possible.
I can see why Paizo is getting away from this as the backbone of an entire area, because it does like it's just like
it's a downer.
Well, and it's exhausting, and like I'm gonna be a little bit critical. It feels like really cheap world building when you can think about motivations on a different level to just like, oh, it's all based on slavery is like,
well, and it's one of the things that's been really cool in 2E, and just as they're going through things, just seeing how they've really gotten great at building ancestries and stuff that have such depth and are all fleshed out.
Sure.
So it is. I'm thinking this as we're kind of going through this, that it's just like, we're talking a lot about first edition, and that was very, very closely tied to 3.5.
Yes.
And just old D&D. It's a little bit rough to hear some of these things and be like, ooh, like a little bit cringy.
Yeah.
But it's also really cool to just be able to see how far, like how progressive Paizo has become since then.
It's come a long way.
Yeah. So it's like it makes me really proud to be a Pathfinder apologist, just to see, like, you know, obviously in first edition there were some things where you're like, ooh, a little cringe, but to just see how they're really revamping things and making things way just more diverse and more, you know, not one note.
Yes.
Like even when they did, I'll stop side talking, but even when they did like the orcs and the different, like the Mwangi orcs and just the those different types, how they're revered demon slayers and stuff. It's just cool to see them like take what used to be like one note, they're evil because reasons and they suck,
right,
to like they have depth and they're whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the new dark elves, because I think they'll do a good job with whatever they end up with.
Yeah, I definitely have confidence that whatever the remaster is will be good for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, the existing drow, the bummer train continues.
That's right. Back on the bummer
so
train.
They're matriarchal, which is not the bummer part. But all males at best are second-class citizens, and at worst, they just enslave half their males. Because, like, not being female is a reason to enslave.
See,
Where's
it's
the bummer
just-
part?
It's just bad. It's like, here's our evil society. Also, it's headed by women. Like,
yeah.
oh,
You're like,
okay,
oh,
all
that's
right.
really good. Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's not the kind of representation we're looking for.
Yeah.
There are a number of drow great houses, all led by great evil women, who pretty much puppet master the entire drow society. And of course, all the houses fight each other constantly and have all kinds of internal evil politics against each other.
I love a fabulous evil lady character.
You got to abrogate.
But-
We already have the Chilaxian evil lady who's great.
Right? Like, I need some motivation and some depth to the evil. Not just, we're all just hanging out and yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
But there's more, Sam.
But wait.
I mean, remember, the drow made the Vegemites.
Billy Mays here.
Billy Mays here. They made the vegetable creatures.
Okay.
Vegetable spore creatures. They also made the Drider, which are like sentient spider centaurs
Oh.
That's
who are also inherently evil and just like also take slaves and kill things.
Man, I'm really glad they're redoing the Darklands.
Spider centaurs is a terrifying thought, though.
Spider Centaurs does sound cool.
I'm like, what? Okay, spider and...
Human. Or
Human.
spider and drow, basically.
Okay, I was like, is it spider and a horse? I'm just, what's happening?
I also
Spider
visualized
would be
that
worse.
in my head, like horse body, spider top.
I was like, I don't know what it's a picture right
It's the
now.
Spider body with the head of a horse. A long, fabulous.
Oh gosh, that's like even more horrifying. Okay, wait, so human and spider?
Human top, spider body. So like the 8 legs of
okay.
a spider, but then like
Okay.
a humanoid torso coming out of the front
I think
with
that-
like arms.
All right,
and,
that's better than horse spider, but
Yeah, that
Woo.
checks out. I think there's like a Dark
Yeah.
Souls boss that does that.
Yeah, so those are the Drider, and they do their own thing. They're like their own society. They don't really get along with the
Yeah.
drow because the drow created them.
Okay.
Fun. They're they're the ghouls.
The ghouls.
The ghouls.
Yes.
I keep thinking of the ghoul.
Ghoul.
The ghouls. The
Ghouls.
ghouls. This is actually interesting. I hope they keep this one. So in ancient Osirian, the Osirian people made a point to bury all their dead.
Yeah.
But the dead did not stay dead. They became undead. And they thought, you know what? Our lot in life wasn't so good up top. So they all dug down.
Oh.
And the undead ghouls kind of like established their own society.
That's kind of cool.
And they made a city called Nemret. Nemret Noctoria.
Nemret Noctoria.
Nemret Noctoria. Which I think is kind of cool, actually.
I like the idea of we're so used to like zombie movies and stuff. Like they came back to kill us, and these ones are like, nah, we're gonna make our own society.
Yeah.
that's the zombie movie I want to watch.
All the zombies like, those
bye.
humans suck. Why'd they bury us? We're gonna keep going.
Now, before you're too big on the ghouls,
Oh, no.
Okay. They're also evil.
there
for
are
a
only
reason.
2 types of outsiders to ghouls.
Okay.
Food or future ghouls.
Mm.
So either you are strong enough to be turned into another ghoul to join their ghoul society, or you are food.
Your food or family.
Food or family, yes. But, I mean, that's not horrible, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
The horrible part is they keep herds of fattened, gibbering, living humanoids as livestock.
It's like
boy.
Geb.
Yeah, so they keep, well, but it's worse. They like overfeed them
Oh.
and then don't let them have like thoughts or feelings. So they like make human cows.
Oh.
Aw.
Yeah, which is not great.
Not
I
great.
hope they get rid of that part. That part's kind of gross.
That's weird.
Yeah. Those are the ghouls.
The ghouls. I mean, you can be a ghoul in Pathfinder 2 now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so hopefully the ghouls stay. I
Yeah,
like the ghouls.
I like the ghouls.
We have the, oh gosh, I don't know if I can pronounce it. Severpin. Severfinben.
Okay, hold on. Spur. Nibbling.
I promise I spelled that right too. I copied it directly from this one.
Svirfnblin. Sverfenblin.
I feel like you either don't
Sverfenblin.
pronounce the N or
Sverfenblin.
the F. Like, one of these letters has to be a silent letter.
Sver.
I'm going to
like-
call them the underground gnomes.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
So the underground
Oh,
gnomes.
of course they're gnomes. Gnomes
Yes.
have weird names.
They arrived in the Age of Anguish, which is when all the gnomes arrived in Golarion.
Fair.
But I kind of like them. They came to hunt down the things that caused the calamity that made the gnomes leave.
Hmm.
So they think that like the Fae who are here somewhere in the Darklands are what made all the gnomes leave in the first place. And they're here to kill it.
Oh, I kind of like that.
I'm chill with them.
You
I
have
like
all
this
the,
part.
You have all the gnomes like we're running, and then you have the Darklands gnomes like we're hunting.
Yeah, so they're actually like the closest thing to a force for good in the middle layer of the Darklands.
Okay, I like it.
They're pretty secretive. They're pretty isolationist. But if they find adventurers walking through, they are usually good to provide safe harbor, food,
Nice.
respite.
Okay.
They're also like the town above, the Court of Ether. They have like an explicit surveillance post nearby to keep an eye on the Fae there because they think those Fae might have been associated with the calamity.
Mm-hmm.
So if we find any underground gnomes, we're going to actually like hang out with them.
Nice.
We have the Gugs, which I can only describe as that monster from Stranger Things.
Ugh.
Oh.
Underground giants with gray or black fur, 4 arms, and a mouth that splits open the wrong way.
Ugh.
Gross.
They are from another dimension,
Okay.
and were lured here by Rovagug.
That sounds right.
They're like Rovagug fanboys. We call ourselves the Gugs.
They kind of are. They're smart enough to like have societies.
Yeah.
So there are like collections of them, but they all are just like fervent worshippers of Rovagug. And also they are like weird extraplanar nasty beasts.
Fair.
So we don't like them. We're definitely going to want to stay away from them. I love the Ropers. I hope the Ropers stay. They are sentient stalactites and stalagmites with tentacles who also follow Rovagug, but they are big on philosophy. And they usually want to talk philosophy while they eat their victims.
They want to talk philosophy with their victims?
Yeah. So like they'll like grab you with their tentacles and like, well, I'm going to eat you. But like while I eat you, like let's talk about like the meaning of life.
Are they attached to the cave roofs and floors, or do they move?
They can move.
Okay.
They can go hunt stuff down. Yeah. So
Strange.
they're like mobile stalagmite philosophizers with tentacles.
Cool.
They're very weird, but I think they're very interesting.
I like that they want to have a philosophical conversation with their meal.
Yeah. They're big on, having discourse while you're being eaten.
Okay.
And then we have finally the Serpent Folk, who were the former rulers of the Darklands and all of Golarion, actually. They were here before most of like Golarion civilization. Age of Serpents.
Age of Serpents.
Serpent Folk.
Oh, there you go.
So they're bipedal snake people. The Age of Serpents ends when they leave the surface and they all go underground. They basically put themselves into hibernation in the Darklands. They have a couple small cities. It has been stated that they are going to be the new bad guys of the Darklands.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
So they will take over the mantle of big baddies of the Darklands from the Drow.
They're going to bring back the Age of Serpents.
Yes, and there's actually like awake serpent folk. There are smart serpent folk. There are like dumb serpent folk who are like not fully out of their stupor, or like they've been awake this whole time, so they've kind of lost their sentience.
Same. I'm not fully out of my sleepy stupor.
Yeah, so they're going to be the new baddies of the Darklands, and I'm really excited because the serpent folk are kind of cool.
They are. I like that.
So how we feeling? We're going to get through the second layer of the Darklands.
It doesn't feel any worse than the first layer. Like, there are different things, but like this one at least seems more creature-based.
Yeah.
So for Jenna, that feels easier to navigate than just
navigate
hazards.
And then, I feel like Cecil, this is something that seems pretty able to be handled.
We're good with it so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that Cecil and Jenna are a good team.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make good stuff.
Well, good. You're still in the conference room.
We're still
a few more people might have left.
No.
The snacks have run out.
Now we're just in it. We're in it to win it.
You're in it to win it. So now we're going to enter Orv, which is known as the underground realm of wonder.
It sounds so nice.
Yeah, it's the basement of the basement of the basement.
Yes, we talked about that in the realm of the Mammoth Lore.
Yes, for the inhabitants of the Darklands, this is what they consider their version of hell.
Wait, the treasure place is hell?
It's Darklands hell.
Oh, because it's got nice stuff.
No, because it's like the most terrifying place, and it's below the first and second layer.
Damn.
So I want to know the guy who called it the realm of wonder. It's the realm of wonder, and you're
there's a reason for that.
Okay.
Orv is weird. So Orv consists of dozens of massive chambers called vaults.
Okay.
Which are the size of entire oceans or entire nations. So they're
boy.
like artificial terrariums, basically.
Okay.
And each one's like its own different climate, different biology. They're entirely unique to each other.
Okay.
So it's very like weird and wonderful.
Yeah.
If you think like Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
They are rumored to have been created by the Vault Keepers, who were supposedly here like before most other creatures on Golarion.
Aren't the Vault Keepers the things on the plane of Earth? Is that what we talked about?
Maybe? I don't know.
I think because we had you had the Vault Keepers.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's the good Earth.
Yeah, the Earth Elementals.
Earth Elemental God. She created They have like the weird number of each.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah,
but yes.
Yeah.
So they're rumored to have been created by the Vault Keepers.
Okay.
They're not sure why the Vault Keepers like abandoned their vaults. Maybe it's because they lost a war with the Aboleths. Maybe it was something else entirely, like elemental politics, like we talked about. But they don't maintain them anymore, so they're all kind of left to run wild.
Okay.
This one's kind of tougher to talk about because each vault is entirely its own separate thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk primarily about the Midnight Mountains.
Okay.
To start, and then I'll give us our possible escape routes.
Cool.
So the Midnight Mountains are a 4-mile-high vault, 2-mile-high mountains.
Dang.
It's the center of trade for orbs. So all the different other vaults kind of like have trade routes that come into this vault specifically, the Midnight Mountains. There are Gugs, Troglodytes, Ropers. There's lots of like black puddings, purple worms, all that kind of like critter stuff we've talked about before.
Okay.
But our target is here. The umbral dragon named Ugathogo.
Ugathogo. Okay.
Ugathogo is a level 20 umbral dragon who has lived here since time immemorial and collected all the treasures of all of the 3 vaults over his many, many thousands of years of life.
Oh boy.
And we're going to steal from him.
Oh, yeah.
Is he on vacation when we show up?
We'll have to figure that out. So I don't actually have a plan because I don't have no maps. I don't know where he is. We'll need to ask around the locals. I mean, the vault's big, but not that big. Like it's 5 or 6 miles across. Like it's probably more than that. It's like 10 or 15, but yeah, like it's not an enormous, it's like, can I find somebody in a country? Like we could find him.
Okay.
We do need to look out for the moons of the vault because the moons are level 56 sentient fungi.
Holy crap.
That come down and feed occasionally.
How? What? Where do the levels cap out?
I think in first edition they just kind of kept
keep
going.
As you add more hit dice, they just keep going.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it'd be like they tried epic. Well, I don't know if they tried epic levels in Pathfinder, but they had things broke down so much that everyone's like, whatever. You're above 20.
Yeah, they are listed as level 56 sentient fungi who are moons. They are usually dreaming, but when they wake up, they come down and eat.
Well, that's fair. I wake up hungry too.
Yeah. So we'll find Ugathogo's lair.
Okay.
We'll steal a bunch of his stuff. We'll bring a bunch of bags of holding. And then we have 2 escape routes.
Okay.
We can go north to Deep Tolguth, which we talked about.
Yeah.
Or we can go south to the Black Desert.
Okay.
So north in Deep Tolguth, that's full of the megafauna, dinosaurs. There's magical sunlight down there. There's orcs. There's humans. We could seek refuge in the Troglodyte Onyx City. It's like the only semi-civilized group of troglodytes, which is pretty cool. So we can go hang out there.
Cool.
Or we can go south to the Black Desert. It's a vast vault full of black sand dunes. That is a purple worm breeding ground. It's where most of the purple worms are born.
Oh, not great.
But the sand is poisonous. There is radioactive ore as the primary light source. So if you're walking around outside, you are immediately being irradiated.
Cool.
And there's an undead drow city of Sharon at the focal point. It's full of liches, vampires, and zombie slaves. So if the drow weren't bad enough, drow who became liches established a city here.
Dritches.
Dritches.
Loral. Oh, okay. Let's go up north then.
Yeah, I feel like Deep Tolguth sounds better.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll put my lot in with the dinosaurs.
So then from Deep Tolguth, we just casually make our way back up to the surface. We emerge in the realm of the Mammoth Lords.
And make our way back
down. And we escape rich. Rich beyond our wildest dreams.
What's our timeline? Seems like a long...
Boy, how long does it take to walk across the entirety of Avestan 3 times? Well, probably twice.
Years.
So it's a longer timeline.
Months? I don't know if you're continually walking. I don't know.
Guess you have magical stuff to help.
Yeah.
It's a longer heist.
Okay.
It's a commitment.
Okay. I got nothing to do.
And I have nothing to pay up front.
This is cash on delivery.
This is everyone gets a share. Everyone who survives to the end gets a share. One of those types of missions.
Cecil's in.
I don't know if Jenna's in. This being a potentially multi-year endeavor, and she is a human, and humans do not live as long.
Okay, I'll I'll summarize. We'll go through the whole plan again,
Okay,
Jenna.
cool.
Step 1, enter the Candlestone Caverns.
Cool.
Step 2, survive Narvoth.
Cool.
Get to the Court of Ether.
Yep.
Sneak past the evil Fae.
Yep.
Make our way down the Endless Gulf.
Sounds good.
Face the horrors of Sekiyama.
Great.
Get down to the Midnight Mountains.
Okay.
Locate and steal from a demigod umbral dragon.
Easy.
Escape through a sinister troglodyte empire riding velociraptor mounts.
Epic.
Get back to the surface.
Perfect.
Walk back from the Mammoth Lords, or teleport, I suppose, at that point, back to Andoran.
Let's do it.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
I don't know. Jenna's just thinking about all of the things she could steal above ground and still have a lot of money.
Or I just think of
It's fair.
like the amount of. I'm sure there's a dragon we can find
Anywhere else.
On the earth? Surely people have like vaults of treasure and things.
I think Cecil would come out of this with a good story, so sure.
All right, Cecil's in. So Cecil would be handed 2 pieces of paper, the contract, and something about like a living will to make sure that any earthly remains are taken care of properly.
I cross off living and I put undead will.
Sure, yeah. You want to make sure any of your terrestrial properties are taken care of.
Fair.
Jenna?
I think Jenna's going to pass.
Jenna's out.
Fair. That's fair.
I will sign the non-disclosure agreement, though, to...
Yeah, don't tell the Pathfinder Society.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
no, go
yeah.
for it. I hope that you guys are successful.
You're going to miss out.
If you make it back alive, call me and I will pick you up from the realm of the Mammoth Lords.
She's our Uber.
I will be your last leg getaway car.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool, yeah.
Let's do it.
So that's the Darklands. It's kind of a depressing, sad place.
Yeah, I am excited to see what they do with it.
Me too.
When you told me originally, you're like, there's a lot of first edition stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But the amount of times in here, I'm like,
Yeah, I was very sad after doing the prep for this, and then I watched the Paizo 50-minute. Here's what we're gonna do to change all this, and I was like, I'm really excited for the Darklands. Later, not right now.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
So-
there's a lot of opportunity to change this into something with some more meaningful stories and a structure that is not full of problematic stuff.
It does feel very full of creatures, and they're all the same. It's honestly Deep Tolgoth with its
All the megafauna
all
stuff.
the megafauna stuff seems like the coolest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when it's just oh, you have the dark dwarves, they're evil. You have the dark elves, they're evil. You have the dark fish, they're evil.
Yeah.
It's I can see why they looked at this in the lens of 2E and were like, yeah,
we can do better.
Yeah.
Jigger some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you, Ryan, for taking us through
Sure.
this. And like we said, we will revisit the Darklands, and talking through this made me really excited for the new Darklands.
I think when the Darklands book comes out eventually, we'll do the tabletop spoiler guide for High Helm
Yeah.
at the same time, because a lot of
Or
High
for
Helm,
Sky King's Tomb.
yes, Sky King's too. Yes.
Because we do want to come back and do High Helm, which I
Yes.
think covers a little bit of the underground kind of.
Because High Helm itself is a Darklands entrance, there is some part of it. Yeah.
So we'll do that, and then we'll come back to Sky King's Tomb. And again, thanks for listening up to here. I think we can all agree that we are glad we are moving beyond first edition into second edition. I think this is, kind of a good view into how far Pathfinder has come and how just cool of a system it is.
Golarion has changed a lot.
Golarion has changed a lot for the better, which is, just cool to see. But thanks again for listening. Hope you're enjoying it. If you like the podcast, remember, always tell your friends, tell your D&D groups. If you're a Pathfinder Society person, tell your venture captains.
Tell your venture captains.
Tell your venture captains. And, if you want to reach out to us, hit us up at our email, tabletoptravelguidepodcast@gmail.com.
Shoot me an email about how bummed you are right now.
Yeah, shoot us an email.
That was a downer, Ryan.
That was a big downer.
If you listened to this and also cringed a lot, as much as we did, let us know.
Yeah.
We like to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this as well. You can hit us up on Instagram. That's pretty easy. I swear every time we play a session, I'm like, I'm going to take a picture of our board and what we're doing. And then an hour after, I'm like, Dang it, I forgot to take a picture. So we'll work on it. It's fine. But yeah, that's at Tabletop Travel Guide. Remember, we have our website, which is where we put character sheets, pictures, stuff that we talk about, and that's tabletoptravelguide.com. But until next time, safe travels, everybody.